Former Justice Minister David Lametti has resigned today. Interesting timing, as a federal judge has just ruled his use of the Emergencies Act was unconstitutional. Other interesting timing is the deletion of his Twitter page. Well, who's this guy? Who's David Lametti? Well, he was the former justice minister under Justin Trudeau, and he famously got his job when Justin Trudeau fired Jody Wilson-Raybould because she wanted to actually follow the law. She was fired for that, moved to another cabinet position, which she ultimately ended up resigning from in frustration with her leadership in her party, the Liberal Party. She was replaced with David Lametti, who was happy to just let that case go, walk away. And this is, of course, the famous SNC-Lavalin scandal. Now, this video is not all about this. It's about this guy and his leaving office. He's resigned today. Now, here's Larry Brock talking about this on Twitter. Breaking: former Justice Minister David Lametti announces his resignation as an MP today. So he's not just leaving the Liberal Party, he's taken off. He's no longer going to be in politics. Within 48 hours after a federal court ruled that the invocation was both illegal and unconstitutional. This is another disgraced Liberal who is fleeing Trudeau's sinking ship, and we can see that sinking ship right here. it's wow, holy cow. Let's move on with this. Federal court declares Trudeau's use of the Emergencies Act unconstitutional. Now, David Lametti was instrumental in all of this. He was the Justice Minister. He was the one giving legal representation to the Trudeau cabinet in this movement to actually declare a state of emergency Canada-wide to crush a peaceful protest. That's right. Now, some of the media news, some of the CBC here, some of the state-run media or state-funded media, you would say, is showing a different story than others. Former Justice Minister says he's still confident in decision to trigger the Emergencies Act. David Lametti says PM never gave a substantive reason for dropping him from the cabinet. Oh, well, that's because your use has been, it's dried up. That's the whole MO with Justin Trudeau, and we've seen this time after time. As soon as you're no longer useful to him, you're gone. You're out of the picture. Former Justice Minister David Lametti says federal court judge made a bad call when he ruled that the federal government was wrong to trigger the Emergencies Act to break up a 2022 convoy protest. Now, many legal scholars and many Canadians would disagree absolutely with this. Now, the National Post reporting on this: former Justice Minister David Lametti resigns as Liberal MP to join a law firm. Okay, so there's a little bit more to the story here. Lametti was one of the 7 ministers to be ousted in the last cabinet shuffle. Among them, 5 have already announced that they're leaving politics. Well, that's unsurprising because you're never going to get back in. Nobody trusts you. Ottawa former Justice Minister David Lametti is resigning as a Montreal Liberal MP at the end of the month. In a statement, Lametti said, "It is with some sadness that he is leaving his dream job, but said that his constituents would benefit from a change of voice and style after more than 8 years of this terrible job that he's actually done." And so has the rest of the Liberal Party. But, you know, we're all waiting for Jimmy McJuggernuggets over there, Jagmeet Singh, to grow a pair and stop supporting the Liberals. Of course, he has a lot of platitudes these days about that, but still propping them up in government, largely to his political detriment. It seems moving forward. Now, David Lametti, here's Noe Chartier showing the resignation letter that David Lametti put up on Facebook. Now, you could go through this whole thing. I'll leave a link in the description down below. You can go read it for yourself. It's a whole congratulatory, self-congratulatory letter of how great a job I did when I was in here, and look at all the things I did, and it was fantastic. A bang-up job, he says. Don't mind if I say so myself, kind of thing. This was a particular thing that caught my eye in his letter, though. I served as minister during an extraordinary time, pandemic and occupation, which if you have been watching and paying attention to Tamara Lich and Chris Barber's trial, the judge in that case has explicitly told them not to use the term occupation, for it was not an occupation. So there's actually another federal judge saying that this was not an occupation. So here he is using that language once again: an occupation of border crossings in downtown Ottawa, necessitating the invocation of the Emergencies Act. Now, another federal judge, would disagree with that, and the ruling has been put in place. This precedent has been set now that there was no necessity for the invocation of the Emergencies Act. However, he wrote this in his resignation letter, which is more than fitting. And a war in Europe. I'm not proud of the role. Or, sorry, he is proud of the role he played in each of these situations. The pandemic and the occupation required, and this is interesting, a balancing of protections of the Charter with the rule of law and the health and safety of economic well-being of citizens. Now, I found this very interesting because it was pointed out, actually, and I pointed this out in a post on my YouTube channel, but also in this response, and I'll show you what I'm responding to in a second. But this is the decision that came out. It's declared that the decision to use the proclamation and the associated regulations and order was unreasonable and ultra vires the Emergencies Act. So ultra vires being like outside of the purview of the government. It is declared that the regulations infringed Section 2 of the Charter, and declared that the order infringed Section 8 of the Charter, and that neither infringement was justified under Section 1. So obviously completely unjustified, and this is the ruling that came out. Now, this is in response, of course, to Vesper on Twitter, who puts this one out here. It's amazing because he has deleted his Twitter, but there's everything that you put on the internet is forever. Don't ever think that you can just delete something and it's gone. The Wayback Machine is always going to show what you've done before. So he's obviously asking, Vesper's asking, how could someone be so incompetent? Now, this is, of course, a tweet that David Lametti put out. I want to be clear that the temporary measures we are talking about under the Emergencies Act are subject to the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. It is written into the act itself. Well, you can see from a judge that it infringed on two major components of the Charter. So this is obviously a thing. People getting cheeky in the comments saying, Yuji Tai saying, good thing this government doesn't have a pattern of similar behavior, or there may be more criminal offenses. To which I replied, this level of sarcasm may be enough to meet the threshold to invoke the Emergencies Act for Trudeau. Of course. Now, there are more things that you can point out, David Lametti, when it comes to just this particular case of invoking the Emergencies Act, how completely overreaching this was. Here's him being interviewed by someone, I believe, on CTV.
Okay, what's the RICO? I mean, look, you've just compared people who may have donated to this to the same people who are funding maybe a terrorist. I just want to be clear here, sir. This is really important. A lot of folks says, look, I just don't like your vaccine mandates and I donated to this. Now it's illegal. Should I be worried that the bank can freeze my account? What's your answer to that?
Well, I think if you are a member of a pro-Trump movement who's donating hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars to this kind of thing, then you ought to be worried.
What if you're a Canadian citizen who donated $500 to it?
Well, I think if you're a tractor trailer owner whose employee has taken the truck and that has been sitting here in Ottawa for 3 weeks, and perhaps you gave that person permission, you may now actually lose your trucking license under this. And I think you ought to be worried in that circumstance. And I think that's a very important tool that we've given to police.
So So this is really egregious. You have the Justice Minister of Canada actually saying that, under his opinion, once they've enacted this Emergencies Act, anyone who supports the President of the United States or former President of the United States, who may become the President of the United States once again, if they supported him from the Canadian side, he views them as a criminal that should be punished arbitrarily in this case. And also tractor trailer people who own a tractor trailer that was used in the convoy, those people should also lose their licenses in what was deemed by a federal judge a perfectly reasonable expression of their rights in this case. Anyway, I want to leave this one off with a bit more information where you can go and find this stuff. We have here the Canadian Constitution Foundation. Christine Van Gyn made an excellent video covering how the decision was made. I'll leave a link in the description for that. You can go check that out for yourself. Of course, we know that the Liberal government is going to appeal this, but honestly, good luck with that. It doesn't look like they have a chance in hell that they're gonna get this a win on that one. No way at all. Watch Christine's video and you'll understand exactly why. So please leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think about all of the stuff that I discussed here today, and we'll see you in the next one. Keep on trucking.